Hello everybody, it's your boy Memphis here coming at you live with the deck profile for H.A.T 2019. For our monster lineup, we run 2 Artifact Scythe, 3 Artifact Moral Attack, 2 Fire Hand, 2 Ice Hand, 3 Traptrix DNA, 3 Traptrix Murmello, 1 Traptrix Nephthys, 2 Traptrix Atrax, 2 Landfire Blossoms, and 2 Kagetokage. For spells, we run 1 Regek and just 2 Artifact Ignition. As for trap cards, of course, we run 3 Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, 2 Void Trap Hole, 3 Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Time Space Trap Hole, 1 Naturia Sacred Tree, 3 Storming Mirror Force, and 1 Artifact Sanctum. For our extra deck, we have 2 Traptrix Rafflesia, 1 Artifact Durandal, 3 Traptrix Serra, 1 Utopia Gambit, 1 Castel the Sky Blaster Musketeer, 2 Bogusk, 2 Mrs. Radiant, and 1 of the Chimeric Mega Fleet Dragon. The side deck we'll go over in a moment. So, as you can see, this is a classic deck brought back into 2019 with a few added changes. The main idea of this deck is we go first, we set up as many traps as possible, and we also mix in a few artifacts. That way, we have our opponent in a situation where they have no idea what they can and cannot do. We're mostly all about stopping monsters that are special summoned, as our Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, Void Trap Hole, and our Bottomless and Time Space Trap Hole all have effects pertaining to special summoned monsters. Our Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare negates the effect of a monster special summon the turn it's summoned and then destroys it. Our Void Trap Hole negates the effect of special summon monsters with 2,000 or more attack and then destroys them. Bottomless Trap Hole can destroy multiple monsters that are special summoned, or normal summoned for that matter, with 1,500 or more attack and then banish them. It's pretty nice. And our Time Space Trap Hole can negate the summon of, or it doesn't negate the summon, but when a monster is special summoned from the hand or the extra deck, or in multiples, you shuffle them back into the deck, and then you take 1,000 damage for each one. So basically, we have outs to most decks today's game. We just have interruption. We just interrupt what they're doing, and they don't know what to do after that. Of course, we also have our tree here. It allows us to switch between our Traptrix. They are the mainstay. They are both plants and insects, as you can see. This tree we display as a one-of, and it works out just fine. And if for whatever reason our opponent's not special summoning, we have our Storming to bounce them back to the hand. So let's go over the monsters a bit. Scythe needs this guy needs no introduction. Everyone knows. You summon him during your opponent's turn, either by popping it with Ignition or by using Artifact Sanctum, or they destroy it and the spell Trap Zone, and then they can't special summon from the extra deck that turn. Likewise, Moral Attack here, when done the same way, destroys a face-up card our opponent controls, non-targeted, and so we run him at 3. The idea being, like I said, you mix these up with your traps, that way the opponent doesn't know what to destroy. And so they usually won't try to destroy your cards, that way you can activate them anyway. Adding to, let's go over the Traptrix a little more. DNA here, she allows us to summon a trap hole, or a Traptrix, I should say, from our graveyard. It's good for Exceeds and Links and all that. And I should also mention real quick, I got my notes all out of order here. Traptrix are unaffected by trap holes. You won't see trap holes in the game all that often outside of decks like this, but just so you know, these are unaffected by trap holes. So yes, anyway, main searcher, Traptrix Murmello here. When our opponent, or when this card is summoned, normal summoned, we get any of our trap hole cards. And when special summoned, we pop an opponent's spell trap. It would have been nice to pop our own spell traps with this, get rid of our own artifacts during our opponent's turn, but it's still a nice card. It's the card that you always want to see first turn. That way you can start searching things out. Nephthys, on the other hand, we only play one of, because in order for her effect to work, she has to be face up and all that, so only works on occasion. And her effect being, if we play one of our trap holes, we can add or special summon a Traptrix from the deck except for herself. So not only does it activate the effects of our Traptrix monsters, it also just lets us add them to our hands for free, basically, because we're already activating these trap cards. As for Atrax, well, she's mostly just here because she's our Traptrix. But we can also just summon her and be like, hey, I have all these traps in my hands. I can activate trap holes from my hand. And you cannot negate them either. So Traptrix, pretty nice. Not the most important one, but still relatively nice. We got Lone Fire, which is mostly here to summon Nepthys. You just pop it and bring out Nepthys. Get Nepthys, there we go. As for Kage here, he's just here for Exceed plays. You know, you summon any of these Traptrix, they're all level 4. You summon Kage, you either summon Rafflesia, or Utopia, or Bagusk. You know, whatever. So, yeah, and also we got Regeki. That's just for, Regeki things. So for our extra deck, let's look at that a little bit. Rafflesia is our boss monster, or the boss of the Traptrix anyway. Unaffected by all traps while it has materials, and it protects the Traptrix other than herself while she has those materials, or in general. And also, more importantly, while she's on the field and has materials, I can activate my traps from the deck. I'm just getting my tongue twisted. I don't know how to say it. I love these cards so much. Traptrix Rafflesia. I can use the effect of my holes from the deck, presuming that they meet the requirements. So basically, if I have Rafflesia, my opponent summons, let's say, Blue Eyes White Dragon. I can play Bottomless Trap Hole from the deck. I have Rafflesia, my opponent summons Borreload Dragon. I can play Time Space Trap Hole from my deck. It's a very nice card. Very nice. You'll want to start with this as often as possible. Durandal, I just put this in for flavor because we don't use it that often. If you have 2 artifacts, you can summon it. But basically what it does is, if my opponent plays whatever, I can attach a material, and that effect of whatever card they play becomes destroy an opponent's spell trap. And this, of course, is so if you have, like, all you have is one face-down card and it's one of your artifacts, and you have Durandal, the next time your opponent plays a card, they have to destroy your artifact. And that way it activates the effect of that artifact. And also I can attach a material, so everybody has to shuffle their hand in the deck and then draw the same number of cards. Doesn't help that often, but, you know, it's there. It's there. Another important monster is Traptrix Serra, the Link monster. She is unaffected by trap cards in general. Very nice. But even more nice is her other effect. So if I activate a normal trap card, except during damage step, I can special summon a Traptrix with a different name for the cards I control. Or if I use a Traptrix monster's effect, I can set a normal trap from the deck. And I can use both of these effects once per turn. So basically, you play a trap hole, you get a Traptrix, let's say you get Murmelio. And the Murmelio pops an opponent's spell trap card, and then you get another hole trap card. It just goes right into itself. That's why it's at 3. Summoning requirements is only 1 Traptrix, except a Link. Therefore, it's just perfect. It's perfect. Utopia Gambit, self-explanatory. It's just for our beating over of things. Utopia the Lightning has been the secondary boss monster of Traptrix for many a year. It's a very nice card. Likewise, we have Castell, which is just there to bounce things back to the deck. Baguska is good for stalling. If we all we have is 2 level 4 monsters and you have nothing else, it'll survive a few turns while you search for more things. We got our Mrs. Radiant, which is a nice alternate Link monster if we need it. Most of our Traptrix are all Earth monsters, so it'll boost them up anyway. And I only play this Mega Fleet in case Cyber Dragons, because I have a slight phobia towards Cyber Dragon Infinity. Don't ask, it's a thing. Anyway, let's look at the side deck real quick. As you can see, we have Artifact Lancea, which is a nice new tech card, which prevents our opponent from banishing cards for the rest of the turn. So if your opponent's playing a banish-heavy deck, Grand Maju, whatever, you set this, you set your ignition. During their turn, you bring out Lancea by popping it, and then they can't banish any more cards. Likewise, we have a whole bunch of other hole cards. We got Deep Dark Trap Hole, which when a level 5 or higher effect monster is summoned, or special summoned, you banish it, and that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. You got our Breakdown Trap Hole, which is for Link monsters. If a Link is Link summoned, destroy the monsters that are not linked. You got Floodgate Trap Hole, which is nice. If a monster is summoned, go face down with it, and it cannot change its battle position. If you want another Sanctum, go right ahead. If you want another Tree, go right ahead. If you feel like playing slightly more anti-meta sort of thing, if you want to get rid of the hands for whatever reason, you could replace them with hand traps. I recommend the Ass Blossom for being an ass, but also this thing, Null None Blooming Dogwood, which is the new member. Basically, it's like Max C, but for life points. If your opponent goes to special summon something, you discard this. During that turn, every time your opponent specials, you gain life points. Of course, you got to be careful. If your opponent doesn't special summon, you'll lose half your life points. So basically, you chain this to something like Galaxy Soldier, something your opponent is automatically going to be. Oop, there we go. If your opponent's about to, special summon, like say if they play Monster Reborn or something, you chain this to it. That way, you start gaining life points. It's basically there if you happen to be going second in this go first heavy deck. So I cannot have. I just gotta say, if you want to put in hand traps, put in null none. Also, if you want a big link for whatever reason, I recommend Borreload Dragon just to screw with your opponent more. That's just my opinion. You do whatever you want. But yes, I do enjoy me some H.A.T. They're a very nice deck. And I want to just say thank you guys for watching this deck profile. I hope you found it useful. If you did enjoy it, do leave a like. And if you want to see this deck in action, I will leave a link in the description to a little show I do where I take this deck and I duel against random opponents on YGO Pro. And you can watch this deck in action. So, yes, thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys again next time with another deck profile video. Take care.